everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we are going to be discussing Suhan and his role next season. And yes, I am making this video preemptively hoping he will actually do something in season 5 because he was as useless as a chocolate teapot in season 4. So let's recap. Suhan shows up in episode 6, Furious Fu, and kidnaps Bark, then the Miracle Box, and almost loses it. The irony! But he eventually lets Marinette keep it when she buys him a pair of trainers. Or sneakers. Why do you call them sneakers? Are they for sneaking up on people? Anyway, he rematerialises in episode 22 Ephemeral and is like, hey, I need to know who Cat Noir is. And Ladybug is like, sure thing, and tells him. But after time gets rewound, she doesn't tell him and shouts at him instead. But despite being her manager, he's actually okay with being shouted at by a 14-year-old girl. And then finally in episode 26 Strike Back, we get this amazing, beautiful, groundbreaking shot of him glaring at the sky when Miracle Daddy, yep, that's his new name, we're going with that, when Miracle Daddy admits to all of Paris that it's taken him this long to finally win against 2 children, and at the end of the day, it wasn't even him who did it, it was another child. So, as you can see, he did very little, if anything really, but if you've ever had a manager, it's actually quite accurate to what they actually do. But now the Miracle Box is gone, I definitely think Suhan will have something to say. Or maybe not, maybe he only shows up in episode 10 and is like, Ladybug, you screwed up, and she's like, yeah mate, thanks, I worked that one out for myself. I do think we'll see him in episode 1 for sure. To be honest, I'd be surprised if meeting with Suhan isn't one of the first things that happens in season 5. However, I don't think he's going to take the Miracle Box off Ladybug. I mean, why would he? It's empty. What's he going to do with it?
Empty chair, do a solo!
However, I do think he'll make it clear to Ladybug and Cat Noir that they have to get all the Miraculouses back, no matter what. Which they're already aware of. Cat Noir says it himself in the ending of Strike Back. However, I think Suhan will give them a deadline to get the Miraculouses back by. We already know from Furious Fu that he isn't the most trusting of marionettes, and he still doesn't even know who Cat Noir is at this point since he never found out in Ephemeral anymore. And he did tell her one mistake and the box goes back to him. Not only is losing all the Miraculouses a mistake, but it's also, just pretty bad in general. So I think there's definitely a possibility he'll say, okay, you get the Miraculouses back, and when you're done, the Miracle Box will be taken from you. And I know that seems a bit out of nowhere, but episode 25 and 26, Confirmation and Recreation, are also the last day, part 1 and part 2. I think this could refer to a lot of different things, but while Miraculous has been going on for years for us, it hasn't in their world. Not even a year has passed yet, that's why Adrian hasn't had another birthday yet. But I think by the end of this season, it will be the last day of school, the end of the year, echoing the first day, which is when they first got their Miraculouses. And because that's when they got them, I think Suhan will take them back. Now obviously that's more serious for Marinette if she has to rescind the Miracle Box and lose her memory. That's going to be fun. But without discussing the wider implications of that and the untold trauma it will give me for the rest of my life, I think it's a possibility he could say, hey, you have a deadline to get them back by, and if you don't, I'm taking the Miracle Box back. And as we know, Action, which is episode 27, is for the Be Miraculous, which is after the last day. Meaning the Be Miraculous, as well as more than likely the Butterfly and the Peacock Miraculous, are still missing after the last day of school. Now, I'm not too worried since we know from Time Tagger that this Ladybug and Cat Noir are presumably the same ones now, and that's in the future when Alex is older, but I think Suhan could make Marinette and Adrian give the Miraculouses back to him for a short period of time right at the end of the season. Like, I'm thinking end of episode 26, they give them back, and then boom, they get them back in episode 27 because Chloe is up to something, but that's a different topic for a different video. I think as well he'll be, understandably, quite angry, but to be fair, that is his resting face. But judging from what Cat Noir was like in the season finale, he will not let anyone talk to Ladybug like that. He definitely hasn't forgiven her for everything, but Adrian has just seen her have a panic attack in his bathroom. He knows she's not in the right frame of mind to be able to fight back right now. Plus, Ladybug already knows what happened was a huge mistake. As we saw on the roof at the end of Strike Back, she's already beating herself up about it. She doesn't need Suhan to do that for her as well. If he comes in and starts shouting at her, which I definitely think he will, I will have no doubt Cat Noir will defend her and tell him what they need, which is help. We saw in Furious Fu that Suhan is literally able to repel Akumas, so why hasn't he trained Adrian and Marinette to do the same? As far as we're aware, Suhan has had very, very limited contact with them this season and has just watched from afar, which is what he said he'd do. I think this season he could become a bit more present, being in the show about as frequently as Master Fu was, and he could train them and help support them. As we saw in Furious Fu, he is good at fighting too, and he also presumably knows quite a lot about the Miraculouses, and hopefully he could help Cat Noir unlock a new ability, like Alia did with Marinette. It's really unclear how much Adrien knows about the grimoire. I know he had it in Volpina, but he couldn't read it, and I don't think he's seen it since. It would be nice to see Suhan help both of them, but I think more so with Adrien. Marinette is still going to have Alia, but Adrien still has no one, and as we found out in Siren back in Season 2, Adrien and Master Fu barely ever saw each other and he felt very left out. It would be nice if he got some extra support from Suhan. So those are my theories for Suhan in this next season. Sorry it was short, but I'd have more to say if he'd actually done something this season. I hope he actually does something next season. I'd love to know what you think Suhan will be up to next season, and I'll see you in the next one.